clearly heading to the same destination. Look, guys, those are the Fong brothers. Theirs could pick up the small, cautious talk. The one walking in front is Fong Yuan. He's the Fong Yuan who created the poems. Some of them emphasized. So that's him. His face is expressionless, as if he had no regard for others, just like the rumors say. Someone said in a sour tone filled with jealousy and envy. If you were like him, then you can also act like that. Someone coldly replied against the person, hiding a sort of dissatisfaction. Fang Jing listened expressionlessly. He had long been accustomed to this kind of discussion. His head low, he followed quietly behind his older brother. By now, the light of dawn had peeked over the horizon, casting Fan Yuan's shadow over his face. The sun rose gradually, but Fan Yuan suddenly felt like he was walking into darkness. This darkness was coming from his older brother. Maybe in this life, he would never be able to escape from the imprisoning huge shadow of his brother. He felt a burst of pressure on his chest, making his breathing difficult. This damned feeling was even making him think of the word suffocate. This talk is a good example of the saying, those who have outstanding talent easily bring about jealous from others. Fang Yuan thought with a sneer as he listened to the gossip around. No wonder when it was
लाइव
announced
ऑन
that he
करते ही
had
पीसी
secret
अटक
talent,
रहा है.
he would be surrounded by enemies and suffer harsh, disdainful coldness for a long time. Behind him, Fan Zheng's breathing got dreary and tried to stop listening. What Fan Yuan did not manage to realize in his previous life, he could perceive with the finest detail in this life. This was the ability of keen insight that he had gained from 500 years' worth of life
ओके
experiences.
चल रहा
He
है.
suddenly thought of his aunt and uncle and how scheming they were, giving him Shui to monitor him and passing his younger brother an old wet nurse, not including other things in life that were different among them. All these actions had intentions they wanted to cause unhappiness in his younger brother's
लाइन आर्ट
heart
पहले ही
and
कर चुका हूँ,
instigate a
बस
rift
कलर
among
करना
them.
बचा है.
People are not worried about whether they receive less. People worry about whether whatever they received is undistributed well. In his previous life, his experiences were too little, while his younger brother was too foolish and too naive. Thus, his aunt and uncle successfully instigated a rift among them. After being reborn with the awakening ceremony before him, it seemed like the situation was difficult to change. But with Fan Yuan's evil way of means and wisdom, it's not like the situation cannot be changed. His younger brother can be suppressed entirely. That young Shui he could turn into a concubine early on. Not forgetting his aunt and uncle and the clan elders, he had at least several hundred ways of beating them. But I don't feel like doing that. Fan Yuan sighed carefully. So what if it was his own younger brother? Without the blood relation, his younger brother was just an outsider. He could easily give him up anytime. So what if Shui grew any prettier? Without love and loyalty, she was just a heap of flesh of a body. Keep her as a concubine? She's not worthy. So what if it was his aunt and uncle, or the clan elders? They're just passers-by in life. Why waste effort and energy to beat these people? Hee hee. As long as you don't get in my way, then you can go aside and scram. I don't need to care about you. Mother Shin is like a title, or way to call a woman of her position. Chapter 4. Gu Fan Yuan. The sun rises in the sky, the sun ray brilliant. The mountain fog is not very thick. The sharp rays easily pass through. Over 115-year-old youths gathered in front of the clan pavilion. The clan pavilion was in the middle of the village, reaching 5 stories and having sharp tilted roofs. It was heavily guarded. Before the pavilion was the square, and in the pavilion was the shrine of the Guyu ancestor memorial tablets. Every generation of clan head had lived in the pavilion. With every major ceremony or big incident, the clan elders would gather and discuss meetings here as well. This was the entire village's authority central. Good, all of you are punctual. Today is the awakening ceremony. It is your life's great turning point. I won't say much, just come with me. The one responsible at the moment was the elder of the academy. His beard and hair were white, and he was in high spirits as he led the young teenagers into the pavilion. However, they did not go up, but were led downstairs after going through the entrance of a great hall. Following down a constructed stone ladder, they went into an underground cave. The group of youths made surprised and amazed noises. The underground cave was beautiful, stalactites sparkling with the colors of the rainbow. This light shone on the youths' faces, the neon hues gorgeous. Fan Yuan was mixed into the crowd, quietly observing everything that was happening. In his heart, he thought, hundreds of years ago, the Guyu clan came to Qingmao Mountain and settled down after migrating from the central lands to the south border. It was when they found a spirit spring in this underground cave. This spirit spring produces a large number of primeval stones. It could be said that this was the foundation of the Guyu village. They walked several hundred steps. It got darker and the sounds of water were faintly heard. After turning around a corner, a 3-zhan wide underground river greeted them. By now, the colorful lights of the stalactites had disappeared completely, yet in the darkness, the river emitted faint blue light. It was like a star river of the night sky. The river flowed from the dark depths of the cave. Inside the crystal clear waters, one could see fish, aquatic plants, and even the sand beneath the river. Opposite the river was a sea of flowers. This was the Guyu clan's closely cultivated moon orchids. The beautiful blue and pink colored petals were shaped like a crescent moon. The flower stems were like jade, the center of the flower shining like the sort of warm brilliance that radiates from pearls under the light. At first glance, in the dark background, the flower sea looks like a huge piece of land covered in bluish-green carpet dotted with countless pearls. The moon orchid is food for a lot of Gu. This flower sea could be said as the clan's biggest cultivation medium, Fan Yuan thought knowingly to himself. Wow, so pretty! It really is beautiful. The new sight opened the young teenager's eyes. Each one of them had a light radiating from their gaze with excited and anxious feelings. All right, listen as I call your names. Those who are called must walk through this river to the opposite bank. Walk as far as you can. Of course, the further you go, the better it is. Are you all clear? The elder said. All clear, the youths replied. Actually, before they came here, they had all heard their family members or seniors talk about it. It is known that the further you can walk, the better your talent is. Your future will also become brighter. Guyu Chenbo. The elder held the name list and called out the first person. The river was wide but not deep. It covered up to the youth's kneecaps. Chenbo's face was full of seriousness as he stepped into the flower sea ashore. As he did so, he could feel an invisible pressure, as if there was a wall in front of him that he could not see, blocking him from walking forward. During this moment, the flowers at his feet suddenly gave off a weak white light. The light gathered around Chenbo and entered his body. For a moment, Chenbo felt the pressure drop. The invisible wall blocking him suddenly felt softer. With this, Chenbo gritted his teeth and mustered his strength, walking forward. He tried to force his way in stiffly, yet after 3 steps the wall in front of him hardened again back to the state before. Thus he could not walk any further. As he watched this, the elder sighed. While recording what happened, he said, Guyu Chenbo, 3 steps, no talent to become a Gu master. Next, Guyu Zhao Xie. Chenbo was deathly pale as he walked past the river back to the youths, clenching his teeth. Without the endowed talent, he could live as a normal human, holding the lowest position in the clan. His stature was shaky. It was a huge blow to him, as if reality had killed all his hopes. Many people threw him pitiful gazes, while even more had fixated stares at the second person crossing the river. It was a pity that this youth could only walk 4 steps forward. He did not have talent either. Not everyone has the natural talent to be a Gu master. Generally speaking, it is not bad if 5 out of 10 people have talent. In the Gu clan, this ratio is higher, reaching 6 people. This is because the Guyu clan's ancestor, the first generation clan leader, was a famous, legendary, and powerful man. Due to cultivation reasons, his bloodline carried powerful genes. Thus, the average quality of talent in the Guyu clan was generally higher, as they carried his blood in their veins. With 2 consecutive failures, the other elders observing the scene in the dark started making ugly expressions. Even the clan head was frowning slightly. The next moment, the academy elder called out the 3rd name, Guyu Mo Bei. Here. A horse-faced youth dressed in linen robes lightly called as he came forth. He was tall in build, looking much sturdier than his peers. There was a brave aura about him. He crossed the river in a few steps and reached the opposite bank. 10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps. One after another, small lights entered his body. He walked until he reached 36 steps before he could finally go no further. The youths at the riverbank watched with wide open eyes, shocked. The academy elder happily exclaimed, Good, Guyu Mo Bei, be great talent. Come here, let me see your primeval sea. Guyu Mo Bei walked back to the academy elder's side. The latter stretched out his hand and put it on the juvenile's shoulder, closing his eyes as he checked with focus. Then he retracted his hand and nodded. recording down on the paper. Guyu Bei, primeval sea measuring 6 by 6, can be vigorously trained. This special talent can be measured by 4 grades: A grade to D grade. A D grade talent youth who is raised for 3 years would be able to become a rank 1 senior Gu master, become the foundation of the family. A C grade talent youth after 2 years of cultivation will usually be able to become a rank 2 senior Gu master, becoming the clan's backbone. A B grade talent must be cared for, often becoming a future clan elder. With 6 to 7 years of training they will become rank 3 Gu masters. And when it comes to a grade, even if it was just one, would bring great luck to the entire clan. Great care must be given. With this talent in about 10 years they can become a rank 4 Gu master. At that moment they would be able to compete for the position of the head of the clan. In other words, as long as this Guyu Bei grows up, eventually he will become one of the elders of the Guyu clan. That is why the academy elder laughed happily. The elders watching in the darkness also sighed in relief. Then they all turned to look at one of the elders amongst them with jealousy. This elder was also horse-faced, known as Guyu Bei's grandfather, Guyu Chin. His face was already smiling. He provokingly looked at his old nemesis and said, "What do you think? My grandson isn't bad, huh, Guyu Qilian?" Guyu Qilian had a head full of red hair. He made an annoyed humph, not replying to other. It was apparent that his face expression was really dark. 1 hour later, half of the youths had already walked through the flower sea. There were quite a number of C and D grade talents among them, while half of those youths had no talent at all. Sigh, the bloodline is getting thinner. These few years the clan hasn't had any rank 4 masters to strengthen the bloodline. The 4th generation clan head was the only rank 5 master, but in the end he perished together with the flower wine monk and did not leave behind any descendants. The Guyu clan's later generation talents are getting weaker and weaker, the clan head said with a deep sigh. At this moment, the academy elder shouted, "Guyu Chen!" On hearing this name, all the elders looked at Guyu Qilian. This was Guyu Qilian's grandson. Guyu Qilian had a small and short build with a face full of pockmarks. He was clenching his fist, his entire face sweating. It was evident that he was incredibly nervous. As he walked onto the opposite bank, the little lights entered his body. After walking straight for 36 steps he stopped. "Another B grade!" The academy elder yelled. The youths started a commotion, sending Guyu Qilian envious stares. "Ha ha ha, 36 steps, 36 steps!" Guyu Qilian shouted, proudly staring at Guyu Bei. This time it was Guyu Chen's turn to have a sour face. "Guyu Chen, huh?" In the midst of the crowd, Fan Yuan stroked his chin thoughtfully. In his memories, the clan heavily punished Guyu Chen because he cheated during the awakening ceremony. In reality, Chen only had a C grade talent, but because his grandfather Guyu Qilian helped him fake the results, that's why he appeared to have B grade talent. To be honest, if he wanted to cheat, Fan Yuan had a countless number of ways to do so, some ways even more perfect than Guyu Chen's method. If a B grade or a grade talent appeared, they would receive the clan's huge care. But firstly, Fan Yuan had only just been reborn. It was hard to prepare the cheating method by this condition. Secondly, even if he managed to cheat, he would not be able to fake his cultivation speed. He would be exposed by then. However, Guyu Chen was different. His grandfather was Guyu Qilian, one of the 2 elders with the most authority within the clan. With this, Qilian would be able to cover up for his grandson. Guyu Qilian was always hostile towards Guyu Chen. These 2 elders are the clan's 2 biggest influential authorities. To suppress his opponent, he would need his own grandson to have an outstanding talent. It is also because he was helping from behind, Guyu Chen was able to conceal the truth for a time. In my memories, if it were not for that incident, the truth would never have been exposed. Fan Yuan's eyes shone with light, his mind thinking up ways to use this knowledge to his advantage. If he exposed the matter on the spot, he would receive a bit of reward from the clan, but then he would offend the highly powerful Guyu Qilian. This was not advisable. Within such a short time he also could not blackmail them. Due to having low status, it would just backfire on him. As he pondered, he suddenly heard the academy elder call out his own name. "Guyu Fan Yuan!" Chapter 5. The First Human in 3 Gu, Hope's Awakening. In that moment his surroundings went quiet. countless numbers of eyes were on him. It's getting more and more exciting, Fan Yuan thought to himself with a laugh. Under the gazes of the masses, he walked across the river and reached the opposite bank. He could feel a layer of pressure on him. This pressure came from the spirit spring deep in the flower sea. The spirit spring produced primeval qi. Because the qi was too rich in here, it caused the pressure. But very quickly from the flowers below Fan Yuan's feet, little lights made their way up. These dots of light enveloped his entire body before finally entering him. These are the Hope Gu, mused Fan Yuan. The person in charge did not tell them, but he knew it very clearly. Every spot of light is a Gu, known as the Hope Gu. One of the oldest legends talk about the Hope Gu. In the legend, when the world was just formed, it was a land of savage wilderness. Among the wild beasts that walked the earth, the first man appeared. He was known as Renzu, eating raw meat and drinking blood, living a difficult life. In particular was a group of wild beasts called Predicament. These wild beasts loved the taste of Renzu and longed to eat him. Renzu did not have a body as strong as mountain rock, nor did he have the sharp teeth and claws of a wild beast. How could he fight with the Predicaments? His source of food was unstable, and he had to hide all day. He was at the bottom of nature's food chain, and could barely survive. At this moment, there were 3 Gu that came up to him and said, "As long as you use your life to provide us, we will help you through this difficulty." Renzu had nowhere to go, so he could only agree to these 3 Gu. He first gave his youth away to the biggest Gu among the 3. That Gu then granted him strength. With strength, Renzu's life began to change. He started to have a stable source of food and was able to protect himself. He fought bravely and ruthlessly, defeating many predicaments. But soon he suffered and finally realized that strength was not everything. It needed to heal and be cultivated, not spent freely at his will. Not to mention, when facing the entire group of predicaments, his strength alone was too small. Renzu reflected over this lesson bitterly and decided to give his prime middle years to the most beautiful Gu among the 3. And thus, the second Gu gave him wisdom. With wisdom, Renzu was able to learn how to think and reflect. He began to accumulate experience and found out that many times when he used wisdom, it was more effective than using strength. By relying on wisdom and strength was he able to conquer all the goals that he formerly could not, and killed many predicaments. He ate the meat of predicaments and drank the blood of predicaments, surviving with tenacity. But good things do not last, and Renzu was old, and would only grow older and older. This is because he gave away his youth and middle years to keep the strength and wisdom Gu. When a man is old, his muscles deteriorate, and his brain slows down. "Human, what else can you give us? You don't have anything else left to provide to us." The strength and wisdom Gu said as they realized this. They left him. Without wisdom and strength, Renzu was once surrounded by predicaments. He was old and could not run. His teeth had fallen out and could not even chew wild fruits and plants. As he fell weakly onto the ground surrounded by predicaments, his heart was filled with desperation. It was at this time the third Gu said to him, "Human, take me up. I will help you escape predicament." Renzu tearfully replied, "Gu, I don't have anything else left. See, the strength and wisdom Gu have abandoned me. I only have my old age left. While it is not as worth my youth and middle age, but if I give you my old age, my life would immediately end. Even though I am surrounded by predicaments right now, but I will not die immediately. I wish to live a little longer, even if just a second more. So you should leave. I have nothing else to provide to you." But the goose said, "Among the 3 I have the smallest needs. Human, if you just give me your heart, it will be enough. Then I will give you my heart." Renzu said, "But Gu, what can you give me in return?" In this situation, even if the strength and wisdom Gu returned to my side, it would change nothing. When compared to the strength Gu, this Gu looked frail and was just a tiny ball of light. When compared to the wisdom Gu, this one was only able to give out a dim white light, not beautiful in any way. But when Renzu gave it his heart, this Gu suddenly gave out endless light. In this light, the predicaments screamed in horror. This is the Hope Gu, withdraw. We predicaments are most afraid of hope. The predicaments retreated suddenly. Renzu was speechless, and from that day onwards, whenever he faced predicament, he would give his heart to hope. At this moment, the Hope Goo converged into a stream of light and had already entered Fan Yuan's body. Due to the outside pressure, they quickly gathered into his abdomen and collected into a group spontaneously, 3 inches under his navel. Fan Yuan suddenly felt the pressure lessen. He began to walk forward. With every step he took, one after another, the Hope Goo would fly out from the sea of flowers and enter his body, joining the ball of light. The ball of light grew brighter and brighter, but the person in charge opposite the riverbank frowned. This number of Hope Goo is lesser than expected. Many elders watching Fan Yuan in the dark thought this as they saw the sight. The clan head frowned as well. This was definitely not the sign of an A-grade talent. Fan Yuan withstood the pressure, continuing to walk forward. Below 10 steps it means that there is no cultivation talent. 10 to 20 steps means D-grade talent. 20 to 30 steps would be C-grade talent. 30 to 40 steps is a B-grade talent. And 40 to 50 steps would mean a grade talent. Up till now, I have walked 23 steps. 24, 25, 26, 27. Fan Yuan counted in his heart. When he walked the 27th step, he could hear a bang, and in between his two kidneys the ball of light reached its limit and suddenly exploded. This burst of energy only happened inside his body. Outsiders cannot see it. Only Fan Yuan alone could feel at that moment an earth-shaking reaction. Instantly the fine hairs on his body stood up, his pores shut tight, his mind stretched to a tense limit. Soon after, his mind went blank, his entire body becoming soft as if he fell into some clouds. His heart relaxed, his fine hairs flattening, and his pores reopened again. In a short while his entire body was perspiring. This entire process felt long, but it actually happened in a short time. The feeling went away as fast as it came. Fan Yuan was blanked out for a short moment before he returned to his senses. He secretly focused his attention into his body and found that below his navel and in between his two kidneys, an aperture had formed out of thin air. The awakening ceremony was a success. This was the hope to immortality. Chapter 6. The road to the future will be interesting. The aperture was mysterious and unusual. Although it was located inside Fan Yuan's body, it was at the same time not sharing the same space with his internal organs. You could say that it was endlessly huge, yet at the same time infinitely small. Some call it the Purple Prefecture, some call it the Chinese Pool. However, many know it as the Primeval Sea Aperture. The entire body is spherical, and the surface of it is covered in flowing white light, like a thin layer of light coating. It was the layer of light from the Hope Goo that previously exploded. This thin membrane of light supported the aperture so it would not collapse, and inside the aperture was naturally the primeval sea. The sea waters were smooth like a mirror, showing a greenish-blue color, yet the water was dense and brought about a copper luster. Only rank 1 Goo masters can form this green coppery primeval essence, known as the green copper sea. The height of the sea surface was not up to half of the aperture, it was only up to 44%. This was also the limitation of a C-grade talent. Every drop of seawater was pure primeval essence, representing the condensation of Fan Yuan's essence, vitality, and soul. It was also the accumulation of his life potential over the past 15 years. This primeval essence is used by Goo masters to raise Goo. This also means that from now onwards, Fan Yuan has formally entered the route of a rank 1 Goo master. Since the aperture had opened, no more hope entered Fan Yuan's body. Fan Yuan gathered himself and felt that the pressure before him was as thick as a wall. He could no longer walk another step forward. Just like my previous life. He smiled indifferently at this result. You can't go any further? The academy elder shouted across the river, holding on to a small thread of hope. Fan Yuan turned around and walked back, answering with his actions. At this moment, even the young teenagers started reacting. The crowd suddenly buzzed with chatter. What? Fan Yuan walked 27 steps? So he was just a C-grade talent. Unbelievable. Only a C-grade for such a genius like him? A great disturbance erupted from the crowd. Big brother. Among them, Guyu Fangjing looked up, watching with shock as Fan Yuan returned across the river. He could not dare to believe it. His own brother was only a C-grade. He had always thought that his older brother would be an A-grade talent. No, not just him. Even his aunt and uncle and so many people among the clan thought the same too. But now, the result was unexpectedly the opposite. Damn, he was only AC grade. The Guyu clan had clenched both his fists, drawing a deep breath, disappointment in his voice. The elders watching from the darkness had mixed reactions. Some were frowning, some lowering their head in discussion, some looking up with a sigh. Could the results be wrong? How can that be? This method is accurate beyond reasoning, not to add that we were watching the entire time, even cheating is hard. But all his actions and intelligence previously, how do you explain those? Youths with higher quality of primeval C would indeed display characteristics that surpass the ordinary man, such as intelligence, perception, memory, strength, agility, and so on. On the other hand, these characteristics do not mean that the primeval talent is definitely high. Everything will still be determined by the results. Sai, the bigger your hopes, the bigger the disappointment. The Guyu clan's generation now is no longer like the first generation. His socks were soaked with the icy cold waters from the river, the coldness piercing into his bones. Fan Yuan walked with the same emotionless face, his distance getting closer and closer towards the crowd. He could clearly see the academy elder's heavy expression, and was aware of the stares thrown at him from over 100 youths. These glares were mixed with amazement, shock, sneering, and some taking pleasure at this unfortunate event, some indifferent. It was the same situation, making Fan Yuan unwillingly remember his previous life. During that time he felt as if the sky had fallen. When he crossed the cold river he lost his footing and fell, soaking his entire body in the water, feeling so lost. No one came forward to help him up. Those disappointed, cold expressions and gazes were like sharp knives, piercing into his very own heart. His mind was in chaos, his chest searing with pain. It was as if he had fallen from the clouds down to the ground. The higher you stand, the harder you fall. But in this life, as the same scene replayed itself, Fan Yuan's heart was calm. He thought of the legend, when predicaments come, give your heart to hope. And today that hope is inside of him. Even though it was not big, but it was better than those people who had totally no primeval talent. If others feel disappointed, then let them be disappointed. What else can they do? What does other people's disappointments have to do with me? The most important thing is to carry hope inside my heart. 500 years of living had led him to understand that the interesting things that happen in a person's life happens during the process when one chases after his own dreams. There is no need to ask others around you to not be disappointed or make them like it. Walk on your own path. Let others be disappointed and unhappy however they please. Sigh. The academy elder let out a deep breath and shouted, "Next, Guyu Fangjing!" But no answer came. "Guyu Fangjing!" The elder yelled again, the sound of his voice reverberating inside the cave. "Ah? I'm here, I'm here!" Fangjing snapped out of his shock and ran out hurriedly. Unfortunately, he tripped over his own foot and fell, hitting his head with a groan and tumbled into the river. Instantly, the entire cave was filled with huge laughter. The Fan brothers, nothing special. The Guyu clan had scoffed, feeling a sort of annoyed boredom towards Fangjing. This is such a huge embarrassment. Fangjing struggled and splashed in the water. The bottom of the river was just too slippery. He couldn't get up properly. Trying his best only made him look more stupid and clumsy. His heart increasingly flustered as the sounds of laughter filled his ears. But right at this moment, he suddenly felt a strong pull lifting him up. His head finally left the water's surface and his body found balance again. He wiped his face in a panic and focused his sight. It was actually his older brother Fan Yuan who had grasped his collar and pulled him up. "Big brother," he opened his mouth to say. But instead he started choking on water, ending up triggering a violent cough. "Haha, the difficult older and younger brother of the Fan family." Someone laughed at the riverbank. The laughter grew louder, yet the academy elder did not come out and stop it. He was deeply frowning, disappointment filling his heart. Fangjing was completely at a loss on what to do, and then he heard his brother say to him, "Go on. The road to the future will be interesting." Fangjing could not help but open his mouth in surprise. Fan Yuan's back was facing the crowd so they could not see properly, but Fangjing could clearly feel the calmness radiating from Fan Yuan. As his older brother spoke, the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, revealing a deep and thoughtful smile. It was obviously only a C grade talent, yet how can Big Brother be so calm? Fang Jin could not help but wonder, his heart full of doubt. Yet Fan Yuan did not say any more. He patted Fang Jing on the back and turned and walked away. Fang Jing wore a stupefied expression as he walked towards the flower sea. I never thought Big Brother would actually be so calm. If it was me, I'd. He lowered his head, walking forward absent-mindedly. Yet he did not know that he was playing out a miraculous scene. When he finally snapped out of his reverie, he was already deep in the sea of flowers, standing in a distance that no one else had reached before him. 43 steps. Oh my God, a great talent. The Academy Elder screamed, seeming to have lost his mind. A grade, really an A grade. It's been 3 years. An A-grade talented genius has finally appeared in the Guyu clan. The clan elders that were watching in the darkness were also screaming out at the same time, losing their composures. Well, the Fang bloodline originated from Usji bloodline. Soichi family will adopt in this Giyu Fangjing. Giyu Qilian immediately announced. How is that possible? You old bag Qilian, your morals and abilities are out of order, but you're definitely good at misleading young boys. It's better to pass this kid to I. Guyu Emochin to raise. Guyu Emochin roared back instantly. Stop arguing. No one is more qualified to raise this child than the current clan leader. Whoever has any objections is to go against me. Guyu Bo. The Guyu clan head had gone crazy and swept his fiery red gaze over the disappointed and discouraged looks. Chapter 7. A Gu master has 9 ranks. Flower wine leaves behind treasure. Soon a week passed. Humans are above all creatures. Gu are the essence of heaven and earth. In this world there are thousands of species, countless number of Gu. They live everywhere around us in the soil, in the bushes, even on the bodies of wild beasts. As humans
Shadow थोड़ा और dark करना पड़ेगा.
scholars of the past gradually uncovered the mysteries of the Gu. Those who have opened the aperture, using their own primeval essence to feed, refine and manipulate these Gu people who have achieved these various purposes are what we call Gu masters. And all of you have successfully opened your aperture in the awakening ceremony 7 days ago. With the coagulation of the primeval sea, right now you are all rank 1 Gu masters. In the village academy, the academy elder talked with confidence and composure. In front of him were 57 students, seated and listening attentively. The mystery and strength of a Gu master had been deeply rooted in the hearts of the youths a long time ago. Thus everything that the elder taught and said the students were very interested in. At this moment a young teen raised his hand. With the elder's permission he stood up and asked, Elder sir, I've known this since I was little. There are rank 1 Gu masters, rank 2 and so on. Can you explain in more detail to us? The Guyu teacher nodded and waved his hand to ask the young man to sit down. Gu masters have 9 ranks, from bottom to the top rank 1, rank 2, rank 3 all the way up to rank 9. Every rank is considered a big realm, and it is divided into 4 small realms: initial stage, middle stage, upper stage and peak stage. You have all just become Gu masters, so all of you are rank 1 initial stage. If you all work hard in your cultivation base will naturally advance to rank 2, even rank 3. Of course, the higher your talent, the bigger your chance of promoting. For D-grade talent, the primeval sea takes up about 2 to 3 layers of the aperture. The highest promotion reachable is rank 1 to rank 2. For C-grade talent, the primeval sea is 4 to 5 layers of the aperture. Usually the progress stops at rank 2, but with luck a small percentage of people can advance to rank 3 initial stage. B-grade talents have a primeval sea that takes up 6 to 7 layers of the aperture. They are able to cultivate to rank 3, even as far as rank 4. As for grade talent, the primeval sea is plenty. It takes up 8 to 9 layers of the aperture. This kind of talent in a person is naturally the most gifted and the most suitable for a Gu master's cultivation, being able to reach rank 5. As for Gu masters who are rank 6 and above, they are all legends. I am not clear about the specifics either. In the Guyu clan, there has never been the appearance of a rank 6 Gu master, but rank 4 and rank 5 Gu masters we have had before. The teenagers' ears all pricked up, their eyes shining brightly as they listened. Many of them couldn't help but look at Guyu Fangjun, who was sitting rigidly at the first row. He was an A-grade talent after all. Their eyes were filled with feelings of envy and jealousy. At the same time, there were some who stared at the corner at the last row of the classroom. Leaning against the window at the corner was Guyu Fang Yuan, who was bent over the desk sleeping soundly. Look, he's still sleeping, someone whispered. He's been sleeping continuously for a week, yet he's still not awake? Someone cut in. There's more. I heard that he was up all night, wandering about at the edge of the village. There's been people who've seen it more than once. Apparently, he holds a wine jar at night, dead drunk outside. Luckily, these few years the village surroundings have been cleared clean, so it's safer. The fellow schoolmates whisper here and there, letting all kinds of small gossips spreading around quickly. Ah well, the blow was just too big. Someone hailed as a genius for so many years unexpectedly ending up to be a C-grade talent in the end. Hee hee. If only it was just the case. Of all the people, his own little brother was pronounced an A grade, right now being the center of attention, enjoying the best treatment. The younger brother soars up to the sky, while the older brother falls to the ground. Tut-tut. As the discussion amongst the students got louder and louder, the academy elder's brow deepened into a frown. In the whole classroom, all the teenagers were sitting respectfully, showing liveliness. This made Fan Yuan, who was sleeping on his table, stand out so much that it hurt the eyes. It's already been a week, yet he's still so dispirited. Initially, I must have been mistaken by him. How could someone like this be a genius? The elder thought disgruntledly. He had spoken many times to Fan Yuan regarding this matter, but to no effect. Fan Yuan still did whatever he liked. He would sleep through every class, making the elder in charge of teaching have a very frustrated headache.
Hello.
Forget it.
Hello.
He's just AC grade. If he can't even withstand this sort of blow, fostering him with that kind of
स्ट्रीम करते हुए ड्राइंग कर रहा हूँ.
wasting the clan's resources, nothing good will come out of it.
हाँ.
Father's heart was filled with disappointment towards Fan Yuan. Fan Yuan was just a C grade, compared to his younger brother Fan Shun, who was an A grade talent. Now this was someone worth the clan spending an amount of effort on raising. While the academy elder thought about all this, he was also replying to the latest question. In the clan history, there has been many strong masters. For rank 5 masters, there were 2. One of them is
क्या
the
बोला?
first generation clan head, our ancestor.
लिंक मिला
He was the one who established Guyu village. Another one was the 4th clan head. He had remarkable talent and managed to cultivate all the way to the realm of a rank 5 Gu master. If it wasn't for that despicable shameless demon Flower Wine
क्या?
sneak attack, he might have been able to achieve rank 6.
हाँ, commission work है.
As he said this, he heaved a
साउंड ठीक से आ रहा है?
deep sigh. Below the platform, the youth started shouting in a rage. It's all because of that Flower Wine monk.
एक बार बस उसका सुन के देख YouTube का.
What a pity that our 4th clan leader was soft-hearted and benevolent, and died at a young age. If only I was born a few hundred years earlier. If I saw that demon, I would have torn off his ugly face. The 4th clan head
साथ में एक
monk
ऑडियो
among stories
ऑडियो ड्रामा सुन रहा हूँ.
Yu clan knows. The Flower Wine monk was
sounds
also a
so
rank 5 Gu master.
ऑडियो ड्रामा कभी
From the demon faction in his time for his many years as a big.
ऑडियो ड्रामा कभी सही आ रहा है.
A few hundred years ago, he traveled to Qinmao
audio सही
Mountain.
है.
He
हाँ.
attempted to commit crimes in Guyu village, but was found out by the 4th generation clan leader in the end. After an earth-shakingly huge battle, the Flower Wine monk was beaten to the point he had to beg for mercy on his knees.
ईयरफोन लेके
The
बैठा
4th
है
clan head was merciful and kind,
ईयरफोन हाँ.
intending to spare his life. Yet the Flower Wink monk
अच्छा.
suddenly launched
नहीं
a
तो मेरा
sneak
ये आवाज आ
attack,
जाता.
successfully inflicting heavy
नहीं
wounds.
तेरा नहीं आ
तो
रहा.
स्क्रीन पे ना तो मैं क्वेरी कर
The
सकता हूँ ना
clan head
कि
flew into a rage, killing the
Viewers ना.
Flower Wine monk on the spot.
हाँ, लेकिन कोई देखे तो ना.
Incurable, and thus he
चल
died.
मैं फिर
Therefore, in the hearts of
Query
the Guyu
करता हूँ.
clansmen, the 4th generation clan head was a great hero who sacrificed his
रुक
life.
इसको म्यूट करता हूँ. दोनों एक साथ नहीं हो रहा था.
अच्छा मैं अकेला मैं अकेला ही हूँ.
कोई देखेगा तो बोलेगा ना तू.
नहीं फिर मैं पूछ सकता हूँ. सुन मुझे ना लाइक फोटोशॉप में जब मैं काम कर रहा हूँ
हाँ.
तो वहाँ पे जैसे लाइक अभी जैसे सेकंड नेचर हो गया तो क्लिप स्टूडियो पे जब काम कर रहा हूँ तो वो काफ़ी रिजिड लग रहा है. जैसे इंकिंग का पेन हो गया.
दो सॉफ्टवेयर में तो ऐसे जिगल नहीं कर पा रहा है. यूट्यूब को वो कर दे
हाँ okay,
मेरे साइड
ठीक
से।
है।
बोल।
तो अभी क्या बोल रहा था कि इसमें जैसे अगर मुझे यहाँ पे स्मर्च करना है तो वो कैसे करेगा? सपोज मैं हार्ड ब्रश किया।
क्लिप स्टूडियो में,
हाँ।
क्लिप स्टूडियो में तो इतना अच्छा ब्लेंडिंग ब्रश है।
कौन सा दिखा?
जैसे जैसे यहाँ पे करके दिखा रहा हूँ, ये हार्ड
नहीं,
ब्रश है।
साइड में कर, साइड में कर, इसमें मत कर, लाइक तो ज़्यादा ऑथेंटिक लगेगा स्ट्रीम में।
अच्छा, ये हार्ड ब्रश, दो अलग अलग कलर, इसको दोनों को मर्ज करना है तो जे दो बार, जे एक बार प्रेस करने से ये आता है लिक्विफाई टूल, दोबारा प्रेस करेगा तो ब्लेंडिंग टूल आता है। ब्लेंडिंग टूल में दो तीन। क्या?
बैकग्राउंड के ऊपर कर, ये ड्राइंग के ऊपर मत कर।
हाँ, बैकग्राउंड के ऊपर कर रहा हूँ।
हम्म।
स्ट्रीम शायद 4 सेकंड डिले होगा अगर वीडियो देख रहा है तो। आवाज़ तो वहाँ सुन रहा है, नहीं
वो
वीडियो वहाँ देख रहा है और यहाँ कर रहा है ना, दो वो हो रहा है। रुक जा, मैं डिस्कॉर्ड
हाँ
में अपना एक स्क्रीन शेयर कर देता हूँ वरना कन्फ्यूजन होगा।
हाँ।
तो डिस्कॉर्ड वाले को देख ले, यूट्यूब बैकग्राउंड में चलने दे।
हम्म। हाँ आप कर,
हम्म,
दे दिखा क्या करता है।
तो ये दो ब्रश खींचा लाइन, हार्ड लाइन से। जे
हाँ।
दो बार फर्स्ट टाइम प्रेस करेगा जे तो लिक्विफाई टूल आता है, सेकंड टाइम प्रेस करेगा तो ये ब्लेंडिंग टूल आता है। ब्लेंडिंग
ओह।
टूल में बहुत सारा अलग अलग ब्लेंडिंग वाला है। ये डायरेक्ट जो फर्स्ट वाला ब्लेंड है वो ज़्यादा ही सॉफ्ट कर देता है, मज़ा नहीं आता।
हाँ मुझे थोड़ा क्योटिक वाला चाहिए, मतलब
हाँ,
थोड़ा
तो ये
स्नीयर स्नीयर थोड़ा।
पेंटरली, पेंटरली वाले में है, ये ऐसा आता है।
हाँ ये
ये ठीक
बेसिकली
लगता
वो
है।
फोटोशॉप का मिक्सर ब्रश वाला हो गया।
हाँ, इसके बाद और भी है, वेट ब्लीड में ज़्यादा अच्छा दिखता है,
तो वो स्किन का
हल्का
मर्च इसमें
हल्का।
होता है? स्किन
हाँ,
का
मैं
स्मर्च
स्किन
इसमें
वाला
होता
ये सबसे करता हूँ।
है? अच्छा।
तो इसके ऊपर
हाँ
उसके
ये।
बाद लाइट ब्लेंड करेगा
हम्म।
तो ब्लेंड हो जाता है। और टेक्सचर वाला भी है अलग अलग, हल्का हल्का, ये दूर से पता नहीं चलेगा, पास में टेक्सचर है।
हम्म।
तो पर मेरे पास एक ब्रश है, ये सिनिक्स का एक ब्रश है। बेसिक कुछ और था, गोल था, मैं इसमें टेक्सचर टेक्सचर वाला टिप ऐड किया हूँ। इस पे
हम्म।
रेड ये है, ये ब्लीड होता है ना, ख़त्म होता है। तो
हाँ
रेड
हाँ।
में अगर मेरे को लाइट, हल्का सा लाइट इसी में करना है, एक साइड
हम्म।
लाइट किया, बिना उठाए, पेन को बिना उठाए अगर मैं स्मर्च करूँगा तो वो ब्लेंड होता है उसी में। ये बहुत नेचुरल लगता है,
ओह।
ये मज़ा आता है।
क्या क्या किया फिर से दिखा?
पेन पेन नहीं उठाता और उसके बाद जैसे इसी में मेरे को कलर करना है, यहाँ
अच्छा
हल्का सा
वो
लाइट।
पेंट नाइफ की तरह।
हाँ हाँ।
अच्छा।
तो एक साइड शार्प, एक साइड लाइट, ब्लेंड दोनों हो जाता है।
हम्म।
बस ये बार बार करना पड़ता है, जैसे रियल ऑयल पेंटिंग में बार बार करते रहते हैं ना,
हम्म।
वैसे बार बार करना पड़ता है।
मुझे तेरा ब्रश पैक शेयर करना स्टूडियो का।
हाँ, दैट विल बी $5। ऐसे बोल, पैसे बेचूंगा।
क्या क्या क्या?
$5 में बेचूंगा मैं अपना ब्रश पैक।
अच्छा अच्छा।
कौन सा वाला?
कौन
बहुत
सा
सारा
वाला
है।
वाला? फिनिक्स
जो
वाला?
मोस्टली जो यूज़ करता हूँ वो ये सब वाला है।
तू तू
इस,
तू जो मोस्टली यूज करता है वो वाला?
ये इसके
तेरा जो
अंदर है।
क्यूटेड
सॉफ्ट
पैक है?
ब्रश, सॉफ्ट ब्रश नॉर्मल, वो तो सॉफ्ट ही है। ये हार्ड
हाँ
एंगुलर ब्रश,
हाँ।
ये उसी का, थोड़े से एंगल में कभी कभी के लिए, दोनों सेम ही हैं।
हाँ
ये
ये तो
नॉर्मल
नॉर्मल।
राउंड ब्रश, ये एंगल में, लेकिन इसका ये ऐसे
अच्छा अच्छा।
बिल्डअप होता है ना, और ये एंगल में है, ब्रश के एंगल में। कभी कभी मेरे को वो ठीक लगता है ऐसे, ऐसा अलग अलग डायरेक्शन में खींचने के लिए
हाँ।
ठीक लगता है। और ये तो देखा ही होगा, बेसिक बस
ये तो
बॉक्स ब्रश है।
सब में। हाँ।
ये लाइन आर्ट के लिए ब्रश है, ब्लैक में अच्छा दिखता है,
अच्छा अच्छा। हाँ।
स्केचिंग के लिए। और ये भी ब्लेंडिंग, इसमें भी अच्छा ब्लेंड होता है, मतलब एक साइड नीचे साइड में थोड़ा शार्प है, ऊपर सॉफ्ट है, तो दो कलर अच्छा मिक्स होता है। ये एक ब्रश हेयर के लिए अच्छा
ये
बनता है ये।
ये सारे लाइक स्पेसिफिकली क्लिप स्टूडियो के लिए है या फिर फोटोशॉप से कन्वर्ट किया है?
क्लिप स्टूडियो के लिए। फ़ोटोशॉप में कुछ कुछ काम करता है, जैसे ये काम करेगा, ये वाला और ये
नहीं
वाला,
मैं जैसे
लेकिन ये
मेरा फोटोशॉप का
ब्लेंड वाला काम नहीं करेगा फ़ोटोशॉप में, वहाँ वैसा कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं है।
हाँ। नहीं मैं बोल रहा कि मेरे जो फोटोशॉप वाले ब्रशेस है तो उसको मैं यहाँ पे ला सकता हूँ
हाँ,
क्लिप स्टूडियो में।
फ़ोटोशॉप का ब्रश ला सकता है। ये ब्रश अच्छा
अच्छा।
लगता है। जो सबसे ज़्यादा यूज़ करता हूँ वो ये लास्ट का 5-6 है।